What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 news and updates from Bungie. And initially there is a new patch planned for this week. We'll talk about changes to dungeon loot that Bungie have got planned, as well as making the dungeon farmable and how that works with existing weekly lockouts. Plus there are a few other changes that they're planning. And then we're going to talk about the Dawning 2021, the secret end of season story mission, which is now visible in the database, plus other feature content and changes, as well as some news regarding Bungie and the media this past week. So we've got lots to touch on in the video today guys, but firstly, this video is sponsored by Frag Pro Shooter, the top shooter game of 2021 designed for mobile devices, with more than 80 million users and 1 million daily players. And what's best is that new players will receive specific unique rewards for joining via the link in the description. And what I like about Frag is that it plays really intuitively, with surprisingly good controls for a mobile game. And it's also a good looking game, and when I'm not on my PC at home, it's actually pretty addictive. To set up a team, we choose our 5 favorite characters with more than 100 characters to select from, and each of them has unique roles and power. I personally like Volcano, who looks awesome but also has a lava launcher weapon, which is always good, and a power called Magma Ball, which can be charged up to fire a barrage of projectiles at opponents. And with a team assembled, the goal is to destroy the enemy tower by pushing through and destroying 2 of their bunkers. And in game we control 1 character at a time, with the other 4 being controlled by the bot, but you can switch to any characters on your team whenever you want. However, if you prefer a close and personal game mode, there's also the 2v2 mode where you join up with friends or random players, choosing 3 characters each from a deck of 6. So there are a couple of fun modes here, and a new season pass has just been added to the game, featuring exclusive cosmetic skins available for the next 28 days. So be sure not to miss out on that. Plus, if you download the game right now, you can join my club to find new players, and you'll get free rewards exclusively for joining using my link below, even if you've already installed the game, including a golden chest, 5,000 coins, and 200 diamonds worth $10. So if you guys like the look of Frag Pro Shooter, be sure to check it out linked below, and thanks again to Frag for sponsoring the video. Firstly, today we have some words from Bungie and an update for the new dungeons. So last week Bungie announced that they are planning to make the encounter loot from the Grasp of Avarice dungeon completely farmable, which would mean you could play it as many times as you like and get rewards. And when players asked when the update will drop, DMG said the hotfix is still being finalized, but we're targeting Thursday or Friday. And for a patch note preview, for the dungeon they fixed reward lockout so each encounter can be looted for rerolls an unlimited amount of times per week as intended. But new items from the loot pool and power are gated to once per week per class. And to clarify, poses the question, what if I loot the dungeon today? Will I be able to grind for more rewards when the hotfix goes live? And he confirmed you will be able to snag rerolls of items you've already unlocked, but you'll only have chances for drops of items you haven't previously earned after each Tuesday reset. So essentially the weekly lockouts exist on gear power, as well as unique item drops, but once you've had something dropped, it technically can be farmed over and over again, which is pretty awesome. DMG also said that the team is digging on a few different bugs in the dungeon, including ones where players respawn behind death barriers. And so they say until fixed, we advise letting teammates revive you, which should keep players inside of the playable space, and they're hoping to have a fix on that soon. And on the subject of the dungeon loot, it may be especially useful once it is farmable, and this was posted by OddMCB on Twitter. But from the first encounter, we can get the Matador shotgun dropped, and that's referring to the Ogre encounter specifically, and also for the armor set for the dungeon, boots and class items will drop. From the second encounter, the Fallen Shield, we can see that the Hero of Ages sword can drop, as well as gauntlets and chest pieces from the armor sets. And then finally for the last encounter and the Fallen Captain, Ias Luna and the 1,000-yard stare are the featured weapons. And according to this list, any of the armor pieces can drop. So at least that could be potentially useful if you're looking to farm certain things inside of the dungeon. And finally, on the subject of the upcoming patch, DMG also said that bugs regarding Forerunner are currently under investigation, and we will have a full list of patch notes when the hotfix goes live. So it looks like they're going to target to fix some of the issues with that exotic in the hotfix as well. So once again, I'll keep you posted on precisely when that drops. Now though, for the Dawning, quick note on farming weapons from the event. DMG points out we can do Dawning quests and earn Dawning Spirit, then unlock the Perky Presence and Perkier Presence upgrades that Eva Levante has, in order to get double perks on the weapons that we pick up from her, which is pretty cool. And of course, to get into stuff this year, there are 2 introduction quests, the first of which grants Zephyr the Stasis Sword, which slows enemies on powered sword hits. But once you've done the intro quests, we can purchase packages from Eva for 5 Dawning Spirit and a gift in return. And the 2 weapon packages that she has either drop the Avalanche or the Glacioclasm, and then in the second package, we can drop the Zephyr or the Cold Front. So the weapons at least do have very direct sources, and otherwise the event is about completing all of the different cookies, triumphs, and of course upgrades at Eva, a few of which make the grind easier, as well as the Starfarer 7M ship from previous events. If you've got upgraded perks on it, it can get bonuses like Spirit of the Season, granting a chance to generate Dawning Spirit whenever you find an ingredient. So definitely take note of that. But there are even upgrades for snowballs, which have been imbued with stasis power, and so it's a bit of fun for us to have this festive season, and let us know down below if you're playing the Dawning content this year. Now though, some players are wondering what next for Season 15's story. We've known for a little while that there is an additional narrative piece, and we haven't had it drop in the first couple of weeks of the December update. And so it now seems likely to be something that we'll get in the new year before Witch Queen. But there is an article right here from the Game Post that has a little bit of information about what we could expect. And so spoiler alert if you don't want to see anything for upcoming content, but now there is a triumph in the game called Exorcist's Revenge, and it lists players being required to complete the exorcism activity to unlock the new triumph. And according to the article, it looks like it's going to be a mission that essentially takes place inside of an astral alignment. And from the astral alignment activity right now, you can actually see one of the rooms that looks like it's going to be featured inside of the mission. And there's also an image associated with that activity where we can see the crystallized Savathun in a different room in the Dreaming City. So it gives us a bit more of an idea of what to expect, but of course, the exact story, narrative, and all of that is what we'll experience when it is actually released. Nonetheless though, it's cool to know there is more to come. So give us any thoughts you may have, and finally, let's speak about an IGN article from last week, where some negative conversation surfaced around Bungie's workplace practices, both historically, before Activision, but also during that time, and in the time since the Activision partnership ended. And so IGN posted an article called The Battle for Bungie's Soul, Inside the Studio's Struggle for a Better Work Culture. And according to the article, they spoke to 27 previous and current Bungie employees about what it's like to actually work for Bungie. And as we know, Bungie certainly like to present themselves as a multicultural and tolerant workplace, and they do a lot of inclusion stuff, as well as charitable efforts. However, it was revealed via the article that in various departments, and from the wider leadership at Bungie, there appears to be a pattern of leaders in particular treating employees poorly. And this article is really quite long. It references issues in the narrative department, and what is essentially bullying type behavior towards various members of staff, combined with sexist behavior, clear pay gaps between men and women, and excessive workloads with staff working 60+ hours. There's a lot of different stuff in there, but they also talk about the HR department and leadership at Bungie, which in a lot of cases have seemed to be unable or unwilling to rectify various situations and problems with staff. But it also highlights that a lot of this is historic, or should we say, a couple of years ago and back. And it highlights as well that some folks on the Bungie team recognize some changes over the past couple of years, where Bungie have been improving various inequalities across the company. And Pete Parsons, the CEO, mirrored this in a response, stating that they've been working on improving these issues, but that of course it's taking time and investment to solve those problems, including removing persons from the team that have contributed to the issue consistently. But nonetheless, there are still problems, which I highlight again that Bungie's statement recognizes that. But of course, with all of this going public, it's a fairly awkward situation for Bungie, and unfortunately it's a pretty big problem in workplaces in general. Game development suffers with it. So do a lot of other industries, and it's a shame that going back, Bungie haven't been able to quite practice what they preach, right? Which isn't to say that this is strictly how they've wanted their company to operate, but it means to say there have clearly been long-running issues in their ability to hold leaders accountable, and there hasn't necessarily been the right investment and culture in their HR and management to recognize when the problems arise, and to actually hold all individuals accountable regardless of their position. So obviously moving forward, the leadership teams at Bungie are going to have to be a lot firmer on crappy behavior, but based on what the articles say, they also need to look at fairer contracts in the company that don't force staff to put up with poor treatment from others, and equal salaries based on actual merit, right, and the work that the team members do, as opposed to it being based on their sex or background. And obviously that's what Bungie say they're working on, which is a positive, but it's going to need to be a pretty big focus for them in order to kind of rectify that problem and change the culture overall in the company. So share any thoughts you guys may have, and I'll link all of the associated articles down below. Once again, it's definitely unfortunate that it's come up, but at least they're going to be a bit more accountable moving forward. And so those are my thoughts on it, but for today guys, that is what we have to cover in the video, and so I hope this one has been useful as always. If it has, a like rating down below really does help us out. Give us any thoughts you have on the subjects we've touched on in the video, and if you want to be kept up to date with Destiny content, be sure to get subscribed to the channel. But otherwise, I appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.